So there have been some pockets of examples that we've talked about where there's been some successes. The Badcock building in US 1 in Canal, the Penny Saver building on Canal in New Smyrna Beach. I think the biggest example of CRA success that the News Journal actually pointed out was US 1 in South Daytona. It looks nice, but do you need 20 years to do that? Like you said, Dana, there's talk about a project where doing US 1 up and down from Ormond down to
I think New Smyrna area. I heard. Well, I also heard around New Smyrna area further down into Daytona. And the thing is,
well, it would start in Ormond and go all the way down to Oak Hill, all of US 1. Basically, the pockets that they're talking about are Daytona, New Smyrna, Edgewater, where there's some depressed areas where businesses. But let me ask you this: I talked to Morgan Gilreath, and he seems to be of the opinion that if you had more vigorous zoning enforcement and building code enforcement, that a lot of the stuff could be cleaned up. Just putting a fresh painted coat of paint can do wonders. If US 1 is the way it is, isn't that an example of people's spending and shopping habits and things going out to the outlying areas, the 44s, the 1792s? What can you really realistically expect US 1 to be the nirvana of Volusia County again?
Well, Henry, US 1 is the major commercial artery of the eastern part of the county. Died when they built 95.
Right.
And
you remember the big oak trees they had? I saw pictures of them.
No, I remember as a boy there were oak trees that covered the entire road when it was just a two-lane road.
Almost like the loop in Ormond.
It was like the loop in Ormond. It was, yes, it was very like that. But it was beginning to develop, and there were fine old houses alongside of it that were bed and breakfasts and hotels and things like that. But there were also for the day really quite grand motels and that type of thing, which were one of them was called the Sun and Sand. At the time, it's called something else now, and it's a wreck in South Daytona. But in its day, people used to come from all over the county just to see the neon sign, which was out in front of it. It was a growing, beautifying area, not as a result of county money, but as a result of business people investing their money in what was, and they expected to remain, as I said, the major commercial artery of the county, because so much traffic was moving north and south. With 95, all of that changed, and US 1 in many areas became blighted. Now, if you create a beautification project and you spend CRA money on that, it doesn't necessarily, in my mind, follow that that you will have prompt economic resurrection in the area. I mean, the living example of that is Beach Street in Daytona Beach, which still has any number of empty storefronts in it. Because there simply isn't the business there. All the shopping has moved west.
You had the $27 million Echo, CRA, throw in all the other monies you can think of, News Journal Center for Beach Street. Remember Dunn Toy Store used to be there.
I remember it very well. I used to buy toys there when I was a kid.
President Clinton bought a frog for Hillary when he was here back in the day. You talk about blight. Go to Orange Avenue in Daytona Beach. It's one of the worst streets, not just the paving of the street, but the neighborhood is bad.
Let's just say this, as a woman, I wouldn't want my car dying on US 1. In certain areas, I would not want my car dying right there.
But how can the county, and this is the thing that got me on Thursday, Pat Northey, of all people, the veteran that she is, started to say something like, from what we've seen going on, well, I'm not going to go there. Why not go there, Stan? You've got the Nicole Carney situation with the ad authority down in southeast Volusia. Chambers of Commerce down in New Smyrna, the city of New Smyrna Beach, the whole thing with the tying in of funds where you had, you talk about Jason Davis appearing before a board, you have a guy named Doug Hodgson who served on the ad authority in New Smyrna Beach, on the CRA board at the same time, and he was the general manager for the Penny Saver owned by the News Journal. And these people are pulling in monies for themselves. We had people in New Smyrna Beach that quit the CRA because they found out that they couldn't reward themselves anymore with their own grants because it's against state law. And then you have these drinking parties. We just had one Fat Tuesday on New Smyrna Beach. Guy that owns Trader's Pub, Dave Fernandez, has been in trouble with the police a dozen times. Fights and violence. The Mayor Adam Barringer's boyhood friend. $60,000 in CRA grants for his bar on Flagler, which, as we've discussed in the past, has been seedy, but has been made over. It's one of the most prosperous streets probably in Volusia County, and he's getting $60,000 for his bar, and he's out there jawing with a reporter with a camera, showing people getting sloshed on Fat Tuesday with CRA money.
Once again,
taxpayer money.
Guidelines and accountability.
But where is the accountability? Shouldn't there be a discussion?
No, I'm saying there should be. There isn't. There has not been in the past, and there should be.
But are the Republican representatives on the county council going to say, hey, look, before we vote on giving this, don't we need to look at what's here now? Same with the Democrats.
Look, this isn't a partisan issue, Henry. This is a responsibility.
But but each party pushed people.
It's irresponsible not to have.
Right.
I would regard it as almost dereliction for the county council not to establish some degree of oversight and a clear degree of accountability now that the CRA has been in existence long enough that its flaws can be seen. Money is hard to come by these days. And if we in this county are going to develop properly, we need to make sure that every dollar that's spent for that purpose is spent correctly, for the purpose agreed upon and intended.
US 1 is one thing, but after 30 years of Canal Street, another 20 years on top of that, how much good for bad do you throw it? If Canal Street is blighted, after 30 years, another 20 years is going to make a difference? Where does it end? And to me, it's like, where's the discussion about what we have done to this point? Now, I can understand CRAs like for Edgewater or Orange City or Deltona, and they have good plans. I've seen some of these. They're bricks and mortar. There are guidelines. It's pretty much mapped out. But when you have drinking on the street, Main Street example in Daytona Beach, New Year's Eve, 20,000 people on the street with their children getting drunk. You know, it's one thing when Main Street, when you relax the drinking law, the public drinking law, because the street's closed, but you still have children there. And in New Smyrna, we've seen from the multiple videos that the police don't do anything. They can't. They're not allowed to, unless there's a major fight. It's everything's for the bar owners. What kind of message does that send for tourism in terms of good tourism?
It depends on what you're looking to attract. But, you know, once again, Henry...
Oh, you're looking to attract trashiness and drunkenness and a guy in a car?
I think obviously there are some elements of the business community who do want to attract people of that sort if they feel that they will spend money in their establishments.
There was a guy beaten
it's all about making a profit. Yeah,
well,
I know about that.
yeah, the guy. Well, I just want the readers to know, the listeners to know, there was a guy beaten so badly outside the Flagler Tavern on Flagler, he ended up in a coma. I mean,
look, maybe what's necessary, Henry, is something like a retreat, a couple of day retreat.
To really look at where this money's
for the county
going.
council, exactly, to take a long, hard look at the whole CRA question, where it's been, where it ought to be, and how to get it to that point and keep it there.
Well, I'll end this segment with the following thought. You can throw in a brief comment because we're running out of time, as the producer says. Nicole Carney issue with paying herself all these big monies and all this accountability, and Jim Deneen, county chair, we have to take over this ad authority immediately. It's an emergency situation. Okay, where's the investigation? Where's FDLE? Where's the state attorney's office? Where's the money being recouped? At the same time, Frank T. Bruno Jr., as we've seen from the multiple listings and the agenda items and the chicken dinner events, is showing himself at every turn. Isn't it ironic that there's no closure on the Nicole Carney issue? The poor woman was left to hang out to dry, and whether she's done something improper or not, where's the result? How can you clean this up? How can you move forward and give 20 years worth of new CRA monies when you still have this open? Stan?
Henry, I don't know where the Nicole Carney matter stands. I don't know if she is still under investigation. I don't know if there is criminal activity contemplated. I don't know if she's being forced in some way to repay money which she allegedly took improperly? I simply don't know. And so I'm not in a position to respond to your question.
Isn't it funny though that you
As I
don't
said-
know, that none of us know? And it's still an open-ended thing?
And that's why it's what Stan was saying about a retreat for the county council to really, we have a new mix on the county council, to really look at past matters and say, this is the past, what is our present, what's going to be our future.
I think
Map it out.
I think one of the reasons why the public gets so disgusted with government in general, and yes, the Republicans who come in have a lot of promise in terms of what they're trying to do. It's the issue of not speaking. Pat Norley had a chance to open up Pandora's box and get this thing talked about so they can move on. Orange City and Deltona, Edgewater, they're waiting for brand new CRAs. They shouldn't be punished by what New Smyrna Beach has done, or what Daytona Beach may or may not have done with their monies. But where's the dialogue on this? Why is there such silence? It's almost like you have these overpriced managers and attorneys and these politicians that get elected say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but then there's all the silence all the way across.
Well, I think so often it's like if Pat Norley is looking at possibly running for something else in the future and going to another seat, she doesn't want to open Pandora's box.
But
She wants to keep the status quo.
But Stan, wouldn't she get more of the energy of the voters if she did stand up and say, hey, this is not right and I want it cleaned up?
Possibly. She might very well, but I can't speak to what motivates Ms. Northey, but it is also possible that
the managers don't want it.
No, it's also possible that she feels that once again that the county council needs to address the matter when it is in command of all the facts and it has had an opportunity to consider it. Once again, I think the county needs.
That's my whole point.
I think the county council needs a couple of days to really focus on this, to go over the history, to go over the current situation, to decide what the future ought to look like and how to get it there. And then, when you're in command of all the facts and you know where you want to go, then open up Pandora's box, and when the little problems rise up, back them over the head like a whack-a-mole.
What's that analogy? History tends to repeat itself if nothing's done. There's some kind of phrase.
Something to the effect that those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it.
Exactly.
20 years could be another learning experience from what 30 years didn't teach you to begin with?
Exactly.